Hey, hey, y'all. Hey. We're sorry for being late. We had a few technical difficulties. But we made it, y'all. Glasses and all, red and all. Listen, one day we are going to do it behind the scenes. What's happening, y'all? So here's the thing. I'm your girl, Kimberly, the Purpose Catalyst. I got my homies with me, the Peace Princess, aka Nikkita Jervey. We got Revy Rev, Teray People, who's in the building with her tortoise frames.
Yes.
Oh, we're gonna model. Get so it in look. Get do it. Pose. Yes. Don't do this because you already know what's gonna happen. So we are excited because y'all know, if you saw the description, this month we are talking about building legacy, what that looks like, how it feels, kind of. And different attributes of building legacy. So this week, we're talking about building a legacy by the way of forgiveness. And because the Peace Princess is in the building with us, and that is her forte, honey, okay? Get you some forgiveness and she'll walk you right on through. You don't want to forgive? Listen, this is the one you want to be on, okay? Sometimes I don't know if I'm the one, okay? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I be wondering, that thing pop up on you and you growl, But Nikkita has developed this really niche, this gift of one, using the word to guide forgiveness in her life, knowing that it's a choice, knowing that it's something that she has to do because she wants her heart to be pure. So it's really a non-negotiable for her. And I absolutely love that. So not only is this where she said, look, I want to help other women do this, but she wrote a book that is centered on forgiveness and moving forward. So go cop your issue of Daddy Issues on Amazon. Then she decided to do a quiz. Is you faking it or did you forgive? Honey.
That still blows my mind every time I think about it.
Doesn't it blow your mind? Because who let me be Sheree for a second. Who gonna check me, boo? Apparently this quiz.
Apparently.
Right. So then she did a quiz about this is how serious she was, because she wanted y'all to know, did you really forgive or did you bury that John and then act like you was forgiven? So is you really faking, right? And then you have, once you get your results, then she wrote an ebook for y'all, depending on your results, right? Dope. Okay. Then she decided to become the Peace Princess and tell y'all and walk you through and disciple you to living a life of peace by the way of forgiving. Did I do a good intro?
You did.
Listen, if you're in the comments, hit us, let us know that you're here. And listen, if you're here and you're ready for this conversation, just say, Kita, I'm with you. I need you, okay? Put it in the comments, cheer her on, let her see. Y'all already see she's turning red. I'm just saying. She turning red. Okay, so anyway. So Nikkita, tell them, now I gave them like how you, I didn't even tell them how you got into this. I gave them the snippet of what you do. Why don't you tell them why you do what you do?
Because I struggled. I struggled with unforgiveness. I struggled with, holding on to offenses to the point where it damaged my present and potentially my future. It had me running scared, and it just messed me up. So I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt and all. So that's ultimately, where I went from. And then seeing that other young women in that transition phase, in that, where it's like you go from living under your parents' roof, you do as I say, not as I do type of situation, to ultimate freedom. And that's the stage where you make the most mistakes. And if you're running from past traumas or pain, it's going to 9 times out of 10 lead you down a spiral of bad choices. So yeah.
Pretty much. So you decided to break out of the jail of unforgiveness, right? Yes. And decided you was fitting to be about that free life.
About that free life,
right? So here's the thing. When people come to you, I'm sure that one of their first questions has to be, and Teray, you tell me if you've ever been in this spot, because I have. And I felt like I was right in it too. Why do I gotta forgive?
Yep.
What? Why? I mean, they did it. Now I got to forgive them? Why?
So yeah, I had asked God the same question. Because before all of this happened and the peace princessing and the forgiving and all that good stuff, I was holding on to that thing, and I was down on my knees at an altar call one Sunday, and God said, yeah, you need to call and forgive. I said, forgive who? Because I'm hurt. Me, I'm the victim here. Me, hello. And he said, but what I said is, forgive them anyway. So ultimately, the reason that we should forgive is, number one, because God said so. Okay. Daddy said so. It's laced throughout scripture. And the one that everybody knows is on the cross when he was hung high, stretched wide. The first thing he said was, Father, forgive them. And then he backs it up by saying, if you want to be forgiven, you must forgive. So if you want my forgiveness, you must forgive. So it's a if and. So yeah. And then second, number 2 is because it frees you. It frees you from the bondage of holding it. I mean, if you hold on to anything physically, obviously this is emotionally or whatever, but if you hold on to anything physically for long enough, your hands, your arms, your body is going to hurt. So it's to unleash you from that past pain.
I love that. Stop white knuckling your forgiveness.
Yeah.
So that you can be released into the peace of what your future is. Like, I mean, white knuckle, hold on. I ain't got to let it go.
Yeah. I found years ago, I found myself going through that same cycle of, but God, I'm the victim here, right? Really. And it was a whole process. It was some time between the revelation of the initial hurt and then, having that conversation with God, wherever your come to Jesus moment was. Like you said, yours was at the altar, and he said, okay, but how do you know, or how do you know when you feel ready to forgive?
You don't. You won't. You won't. And that's the hard part about it, because you will not feel like forgiving, because forgiving is an action word. It is not a feeling. It is not an emotion that God gave us. It is a sin. It is something that we choose to do in our sin nature, in our flesh. So you're not going to feel like doing it, because that's what the enemy is going to try to do, is make you, again, point to, but this is valid. They hurt me. No, don't forgive them. Don't forgive them. And that's why you have to force your flesh under subjection and actually do it. Do the action of it, because it is not, you're not going to feel like doing it. You're just not.
That just hurt my feelings. But you said some valid stuff. You said you got to force yourself to forgive.
Yeah.
Anybody on here feel like you want to force yourself to forgive?
It ain't something I'm volunteering for.
No, right. I ain't volunteering to give you my release.
Hello.
But it's a necessity, right? Do you know how many times people be like, I want to eat what I want. I don't want to exercise, but I want to lose that weight. And then you got to beat that flesh so that you can do all of the above. especially when the doctor says, I'm going to put you on meds for something. Do you see how
right
we will run to? You know what? Let me just go on and do this. That's exactly how you should feel about it, right?
Yeah.
Because unforgiveness leads to a lot of stuff that your body, and you mentioned it in the first question about how your body will get tired, and how in the world you have no idea what your body will manifest when it gets tired of holding on to unforgiveness.
Right.
It's a healthy thing. Force and all. So, okay, Kita, what are some of the symptoms of unforgiveness?
Okay, so you know how the word says that you can tell a tree by the fruit it bears.
Oh shoot, you going there?
When you are holding on to unforgiveness, that thing is a toxic seed which germinates inside you and produces toxic fruit, so you are, number one, you're running into or in a cycle of longing for love in the wrong places. You're bitter, you're what's the word, Jesus, passive aggressive. You replay that same story from God knows how long ago. That's your go-to whenever somebody asks you or says, well, why you ain't, and well, because he left me, because she stomped on my foot 20 years ago, because all of the, that's your go-to. So it shows up in unfruitful bad fruit. It shows up in your life and it manifests in in ungodly ways, because everything that God does, everything that God produces is good. And if unforgiveness is against what he says, then it's always going to show negative impact in your life.
Oh Lord.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah.
She's more passive aggressive.
Honey.
Did you see Ray's face? She's
that's
that thing right there.
Ooh, seriously, because when you deal with, a lot of times we don't fully understand why people are acting out the way that they are. Right? We've heard the saying, hurt people hurt people, and that behavior, it makes sense. Okay, so if I'm constantly walking around carrying this weight on me all the time, then I'm going to lash out in some not nice manner. Let me just say so help me out though, if I'm saying, or if I'm choosing to say, you know what, okay, Lord, I'm going to forgive my accuser. I'm going to forgive the person that did this to me.
Yeah.
Isn't that somebody might be thinking like, well, isn't that me giving them permission and them saying that what they did was okay?
Right. No, in a nutshell.
Okay. I mean, okay. Say it with the chest, honey. Say it with the chest.
Forgiving someone does not mean you're excusing them. It doesn't mean that you're removing the accountability from them. It simply means that you are no longer controlled by their actions. You are no longer controlled about what they did to you in the past. You no longer are affected emotionally by those past traumas that they, inflicted upon you. So, no.
I like that.
That helped somebody.
That did. That really did. Listen, if you're willing to forgive somebody, knowing that it releases you and says, never mind with them, like, I get you did what you did, but I'm going to forgive you. Just drop a little hand up in the air. Like, that's me. You know what? I'm going to forgive them tonight. I'm going to forgive them. All right. So listen, Because you know this is a big question, right? This is a big, big question. So if I forgive them, do I gotta be cool with them again?
Huh?
Because you know what they say. Let me tell you about a conversation that me and one of my family members had. He was like, yo, you apparently didn't forgive so-and-so because y'all don't talk no more. And I was like, oh, that's a lie, because I know what my heart is towards so-and-so. Tell me why I could tell him it was a lie. Now, I knew I could tell him it was a lie. But I'm just saying, tell the people.
Okay.
Do they got to do it then?
No. Okay. Forgiveness does not mean or equal reconciliation or reconnection. It does not. Okay. That is a separate reconciliation or reconnection is a totally separate sidebar decision that you are allowed to make based off of discernment, your best interest, and their current actions. Their actions. Okay. If all three of them don't line up, sis, don't go back. My pastor says always, don't go back to the place that hurt you if it hasn't changed, if their position hasn't changed. So it don't make no sense. It really don't. You set yourself up for failure if you do.
That's awesome.
And then you gonna have to forgive again, and you ain't gonna want to. Then you're gonna be real mad. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, but seriously, that, some people, I've heard it where, well, then that's not true forgiveness if you can't sit down with them and have dinner and, all of that, so thank you for breaking that down, because somebody needs to be free from, the spirit of condemnation telling them, they really have settled that thing in their heart, but they feel bad. They don't want to, they haven't called them, or they haven't sat down with them or whatever. So that's awesome. So should I forget what they did to me?
No. No. You know what? God says, forgetting the things that are behind us, right? Been striving towards the mark of the high calling, right? So, in a sense, it's almost a yes and no type of question, because ultimately, one of the things that I say all the time is, remember the lesson, forget the details. You want to move forward and, forget the.
Did it hit you when she said
You want to remember it without the pain. You know what I'm saying? You want to remember again. You want to remember it, but not the pain associated with it. Because if you don't remember the certain parts, you're not going to learn. You're not going to grow, right? So yes, remember the lesson, forget the details.
That is amazing.
You know what you just did for some people? You took the sting of pain and trauma out of something for people right there. Because, people will say, I'll forgive you, but I'll never forget. But you still remember the pain of the hurt, the pain of the betrayal, the pain of everything that happened, of all the details. But that's good. Remember the lesson, but forget the details, sis. Baby. Ooh-wee. Okay, I can't. I ain't mad at you.
That's real good.
That was real good. That was worth this time right here. That one piece right there was worth all this.
That's it.
Okay, so listen. If I forgive and I remember the lesson, but I forget the details, is that thing still gonna haunt me? Is it gonna hurt? Am I still, like, when do I know? When does the pain stop? Like, how do I move on? How I know it ain't gonna hurt?
Right.
Like, it's hurting now. So how I know it ain't gonna hurt in the future?
So, okay. When I was a kid, right, I went outside. We in our generation, used to go outside all the time, whatever, play until you couldn't play no more. So I went outside and I put on some skates that were too big for me, and I'm riding around, rolling around or whatever, and I tripped up on these two big skates and slid downhill and tumbled into a truck, right? Now, when I got up, my entire leg was scarred up, bleeding. I mean, blood everywhere, all kinds of craziness like that or whatever. So you get up and I go to the house to get it cleaned up and all of the good stuff, whatever. You put the bandages on and you move on on with your day. Now I know all of us that grew up back in the outside playing days, we got scars, we got, and when you look at it, you remember, the pain that happened then. And even the pain that happened as you putting on alcohol, as you putting on the peroxide and the bandages and all of the good stuff, you remember that sting. It's like, but over time it healed. Over time it got better. Over time it scabbed up, and now you still have the scar again. So you remember in the lesson, you had the scar, but you forget the sting. It's like a layer effect as you continue to peel back the layers. Again, that's putting that alcohol in. It's gonna hurt at first, then you peel it back, and then it'll die down. It's a time thing. You know what I'm saying? So forgiving is not an instant healing thing. It's not like a fix all, get rich quick scheme. It's not that. It's a time thing, so yeah.
That's so good. So
don't mess with her tonight. Don't mess with her. She's on fire.
I mean, but she is though. But she is. So in the process of forgiving though, right? So, I'm walking this out. I'm saying, I forgive you. But in the process of me forgiving, am I giving the other person permission to hurt me again?
Again, no. So like, okay, for example, if you are prime example, with your spouse or your children, you're not throwing them away. You know what I'm saying? So they hurt you, you forgive them or whatever, but that is not giving them permission to hurt you again, because self-preservation is good stewardship, right? So what you do is, in those instances where you are not, tearing up the connection, or there's someone that's permanent in your life, you're applying grace for them to learn their lesson and grow, and protecting your heart, as God said, protecting your heart as you watch their actions change. You're watching them, because again, self-preservation is good stewardship. You have to be a good steward of your heart. And so watching them change or evolve based off of you saying, no, that hurt me, don't do it again. So it's not giving them permission.
Self-preservation is good stewardship.
It's good stewardship. Okay.
It's good stewardship.
If you are being a good steward of your heart, just, hit that love button. Share this with your girls. Because, listen, let me just share a little something right here. I'm just ask them. Instead of y'all keep talking to your girlfriends about them bad boyfriends and all these, situationships you want to be in.
Hello.
Quarantine days. Listen, self-preservation is good stewardship. Share this with her. You ain't even got to tag her on the post. Send it to her inbox.
That's
be discreet about the thing. You ain't got to tell her business out here on the street. Share it to her inbox. Let her know. Jump on. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Listen. Let's get into this for a second. I've forgiven, right? We talked about reconciliation, but do I ever need to trust them again? Is there a point where this ever reconnects? How do I have to trust them?
So again, trust is a thing that takes time to build, but seconds to destroy, right? So, but in a nutshell, no, trust is earned by the trustworthy, right? So if, prime example, okay, this is obviously someone that they're not permanent in your life, right? Or they could be, I don't know. But if I'm sitting next to you, either one of you, and I steal some money from your purse,
number one, I beat you down.
You would think twice before sitting your purse next to me again, wouldn't you?
Is that before or after I crack your skull?
You would think twice about it. You'd be like, why is your hand in my purse? Why is my money in your pocket? You think twice about it. So again, you have the right to protect yourself. You have the right to protect yourself. And that includes by choosing to, put some barriers up, put some boundaries up, and limit the trust that you give this person until they prove themselves to be trustworthy.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a tough situation. Let me ask you a question. What was your life like before forgiveness?
Mm-hmm.
Let me start here, because you mentioned in the first question that we asked you, you said you were at an altar call.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start there.
Mm-hmm.
Did somebody tell you to go up to the altar?
No. I mean,
okay.
the Lord did.
Okay. Did you end up there? Did you have to wait for somebody to lay hands on you for you to recognize that God was speaking about your heart and not your petition to him?
So someone did lay hands on me, but he was already in my ear before they did. And when she did lay hands on me, she wasn't speaking in English, so she was speaking in tongues. So it wasn't like she was like, yeah, go ahead and forgive. You know what I'm saying? Nah, it wasn't none of that. It was his voice that I heard that was like, yeah, it's been too long. Get up.
See, that's the point that I think you could expound on, is the fact that you took the initiative to seek him for the assistance with your heart. Because a lot of times we wait for somebody to tell us, right?
Right.
If they prophesy and tell me to forgive Calvin, then I'm going to do it.
Right.
But if they don't, then that means I don't have to forgive him. But the fact that you took the initiative to say, I might have a heart issue here. Let me go on up here. And was led by the Holy Spirit.
Right. Number one, you got to know you. Ultimately, you have to know when something ain't right. Like I knew that I was not about to forgive nobody. Okay, I knew it. It just like that. It is what it is. It was what it was. I'm not because no. So
That's honest.
So, but every time I thought about this person, every time I thought about the offense and my past and all of the coulda, shoulda, wouldas and all of those things, it's like you feel like y'all know that burning in your heart. It'd be like, okay, Jesus, and then, but 9 times out of 10, if you ain't in church and the Holy Spirit ain't like tugging you in, you like, okay, well, la 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 la, but it got to a point where like I saw myself, like in retrospect, I saw myself like this happened because you were running from it. All pointed back to me not willing to face this thing. You know what I'm saying? Not willing to face the fact that I don't like what you did to me. You hurt me, and I don't want that to happen again. And so I'm running from it instead of addressing it because, I think that that's the best way. But in reality, when you run from it and don't address it, and 9 times out of 10 don't address that person, they don't even know they living their best life. You out here suffering, heart all hurt, and they don't even know. They have no freaking clue, and you out here suffering. And so God had to check me and tell me, like, girl, you have too much life to live. At the time, I had a whole baby. Like, I'm raising a kid with all of this, the weight of unforgiveness, like in my gut, like in my subconscious, knowing that. So yeah, like I was there. I did not want to go up to the altar, but it was just like, go girl, go. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, because the lady that called the altar call, she was like, you know, she called and it was like a once, twice, okay, 3 strikes you out type of thing. I was coming up in between 2 and 3. Like, I did not.
I was reluctant to forgive. I didn't even know
not coming up on that first talk, because it's like, no, again, you go back to the validity of it all. You go back to the validity of your feelings. But again, we're not supposed to be led by our feelings. And it's once you understand that the enemy uses your feelings, the enemy uses your emotions and trauma and all of those things to keep you bound. Once you realize that, it's like, is it worth it? Is my future worth it? You know what I'm saying? Is it worth continuing to? I saw a message, a little girl posted on TikTok, whatever that thing is called. You know, she's driving and she's like she's glancing at her rear view mirror, whatever. The car is designed that way on purpose, where the windshield is bigger and the rear view mirror is small. You're only supposed to glance at that thing. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to drive forward and not glance and not drive like this, you know, staring out the back. No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to keep going back on that thing and ultimately potentially causing you to wreck, because if you drive looking backwards, you're gonna run into something, you know. So yeah, the Holy Spirit definitely had to rein your girl in, and almost pull me in. Jesus, okay, what's gonna happen when I get to this altar, Jesus? You know, and I'm thinking, I'm at the altar because when I first got there, I'm like, get him, Jesus, get him, Jesus, get him.
Mm-hmm. And God, my grandma used to always say, "What you're not going to do is use God as your junkyard dog."
Get him, and he's like, no, because that's not how any of this works.
That is so funny to me. Teray, what about your journey? Because I'm sure, I mean, we've all had to forgive somebody. Mm-hmm. What about your journey to forgiveness? One specific instance that stands out for you. What was that like? Could you have used the Peace Princess in you, championing you on?
Yeah. I mean, I need her sitting on my dresser.
You just got all disheveled.
Listen, I can't tell you how many times I've had to. I think for me, I felt like I was naive a lot of the time. Like a lot of my early adult years, there was just a lot of things that I was just overly zealous about, and I was naive to think that everybody was going to be excited about these great revelations that God had given me, right? And to me, exactly. And I would run and I would share the vision with people who rightly so should have been happy for me, right? Mm-hmm. Or who should have been willing to back up what God was telling me. And instead I got, well, what makes you think you're smart enough? You don't have enough education. Yeah, this is not going to happen for you. You might have to, link up with somebody else to do X, Y, and Z. And I just sat there and that stuff hurt. And over a period of time, when you constantly hear that and you don't deal with it when it happens, it just continues to build up and build up and build up. So then when you're like, well, God is taking forever. What's going on? How come I'm still here and I'm not moving? But you told me. Right. Well, in the process of what he told me, I didn't allow myself to go through the process of forgiveness, right? So then there was this season in my life where I would wake up in the morning and I would literally sit up in the bed, and before my feet would hit the ground, I would say, God, I forgive anyone who offends me today. Like it was already it was the precursor for my day. Like, God, I am going to walk in forgiveness today, regardless of whoever says what to me, regardless of how evil they are, regardless, God, I walk in forgiveness today. And I really had to, I've seen in my life what unforgiveness looks like. I've seen the physical traumas of unforgiveness. I've seen the passive aggressiveness of unforgiveness. I've seen and experienced all of those firsthand. So for me, it's an intentional act. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Walking in forgiveness is intentional. I am going to forgive you. You don't deserve it, but I'm not going to be bound to your bad behavior.
Facts.
I'm not bound to whatever hurt you're dealing with. And when I finally realized that hurt people really do hurt people, right? I went from being angry and mad about it to having compassion.
Yeah.
True forgiveness allows you to operate it with compassion.
Absolutely.
And have real compassion for the other person because they are hurting, right? And when you operate that way, it gives you the opportunity. It allows you to have I don't want to say it, the upper hand, but the upper hand over the situation, because now I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt because I know that you were going through something and you might not have the tools or the vocabulary to verbalize what it is that you're going through, right? So yeah, I've had to walk that out intentionally a lot.
I like your resolve before you hit the floor. Lord, help me to forgive anyone that offends me today.
Yeah.
I mean, that part.
That's
that part, right?
Because what I learned is that the saying is you take offense, right?
Baby.
Okay,
if you do what? Go back. If you do what?
You take offense.
Oh.
So it's a choice.
Okay.
Yes.
Either I choose what you say to me may be offensive, but I don't have to take ownership of
That's
that
good.
offense, right?
That's good.
So that's the saying. So I was like, oh, okay, well, it's a choice. Either I'm going to choose to be offended today or I'm not going to choose to be offended today. Because here's the reality. 9 times out of 10, people are not intentionally trying to be offensive, right? They are not trying to be hurtful, but whatever flaw and disconnect that they're operating in is causing them to operate and be offensive. That's why the Bible says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and spirit rulers of darkness of this age. That's what we're dealing with. We're not dealing with and fighting the person. What is happening within that person is what we're dealing with. So I don't have to take offense. It's a choice.
Absolutely. Okay, Nikkita. I am absolutely positively sure that there are some women on this live tonight that definitely have someone they need to forgive. Might be 1, might be 15. Listen, but tonight, I want you to speak to them and walk them through what they need to do to walk in forgiveness. So I'm going to, is there a way for me to maximize you and minimize us?
No.
Yeah, I want you to talk to them.
You don't have to maximize me though. No, stop.
You're doing the most tonight. You're doing the most. All right, I can't do it. You ought to be glad. Go ahead and talk directly to them. And I want you to tell them, act like we in here, and you talk to them.
Okay. So the first part is identifying the fact that you're hurt, identifying the hurt, identifying the pain, right? Identifying the person, So once you have done that, once you have identified the person, the pain, that pain point, going down, peeling back a layer, and understanding that it's not just anger, it's not just the superficial, the fruit of it all. Go deeper, go down. What is the root of it? Usually 9 times out of 10, it's not just pain. It's not just, anger. It's usually fear. It's usually, Rejection is usually something along those like you feel like a wrong has been done, not just not a physical, but an emotional wrong. Understanding that, because if you continue to deal with the surface of it all, you're going to have a surface healing. But once you dig the root out, that's when actual healing can happen. So understanding, identifying the hurt, the person, the pain point, understanding what the actual pain is. What is it? Call it by its name. Speak to that thing like you have no place in my life. And then going to the word, going to God, seeking his face, ultimately help me. Like Pastor Sheree said, help me to forgive. I don't want to, I don't feel like it, but I know I need to. I know that you've called me to forgive. I know that this is a command of yours. And so help me to forgive this person, place, or thing. And then actually, and doing it every day, stop rehearsing it. Every time you feel yourself thinking about that person or that offense and the negative emotions come up or whatever, rebuke it. Cast it down, stop it. Like think of something else. The word says, think on these things, think of the positive things, stop thinking on those negative parts of your past or whatever, because all it's going to do is keep you in that dark place, keep you in that sunken place. And so, think on the promise of the future without unforgiveness in it, and move towards it on a daily basis. Walk towards that thing every single day. Lord, I need to and choose to forgive. I don't feel like it. They don't deserve it. But God, help me. Where I am weak, you are strong. Strengthen me, in this area. So yeah.
Nikkita, tell them where or what you have going on so that they can get up with you. One, I think the link to take the quiz should be in the description. So if this is an area of challenge for you, is this an area where you're having some problems? One, we want you to reach out to Nikkita on her Facebook business page. Get up with her. Number two, Nikkita, give them, can I put the link in here?
Yeah,
Do we have the link? I feel like I might have the link. I'm not really sure. But we want you to, I do have the link, Nikkita.
Okay.
Hop on this quiz. One, grab the resources. There is nothing wrong with having an arsenal of resources at your fingertips. Okay, for when these things happen, because you won't have to just forgive one time. Let's be honest, the truth. The Bible says we got to forgive one person 70 times, 70 in one day, 490 times. Okay, you are not going to just have to do this one time and then you're like, oh, I'm so free. Lies and deceit. Then you will always have to forgive. So with that being said, you have a quiz, you have access to ebooks, you have access to Nikkita's Facebook page. And Nikkita, don't you have something popping pretty soon?
I do. In the very near future, your girl is releasing a course called The Delivery Room. And yes, so and all you ladies that done had a baby, y'all know what it's like. There is pain involved. There is pushing involved, but at the end of it, you gain access, you manifest the promise that God gave you. So yeah, that's coming very soon. So stay tuned.
So make sure you stay up with Nikkita so that you can get into the delivery room. Okay. I'm here for that, John. So I'm excited. I know we have some people all over the place. We have people on Periscope, we have people on YouTube, and we have some people on Facebook. Shout out to you. Shout out to Denise, Portia, Angela, Nikki, quite a few other people, but thank you so much for participating tonight. Tonight was extremely important to us. I mean, because the truth be told, you know, we always say that hate is passed down, but what about forgiveness? When you teach your children and those around you what forgiveness looks like, and that in itself is a legacy when you can have a lifestyle of forgiveness. And so I thought it was imperative that we had Miss Nikkita Jervey, the Peace Princess, in the building, right? Teray, how's she gonna sign off?
Hey.
Oh God, y'all, thank you for joining us. Y'all know we here every Thursday, Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Listen, if you have questions, feel free to leave them on the comments. If you catch the replay, #replay, you can always get at any of us and we will direct you to the right person to help. Listen, next week, y'all are going to hear from Revy Rev to Ray, and we're going to be talking about some goodness with her and what she got popping, because y'all, she got a lot of stuff going on, okay? I mean, it ain't just Rose House, all right? So I'm super excited about being among a group of women who are movers and shakers and really doing what God has called them to do and living out their purpose. If that's what you need in your life, connect with us, because we have communities that we can help you.
That's right.
Put in so that you too can have a squad. All right. All right, we out of here. Have a good night, y'all. Good Thursday. Happy Friday Eve.